Listen to these three numbers. 211, one of the most crucial and free services that helps people in need. In 2019, only about 36% of the state had access to 211. Now in 2023, that number is nearly 90%, thanks to Lake County paving the way for the rest of Illinois. That is why we are now joined by Gail Graves, Vice President of Community Impact with United Way of Lake County, to tell us about her impact and work. Can you help us understand what 211 is and the wider range of resources you can help connect people to in their time of need, Gail?
Absolutely. 211 is an information and referral resource line that will connect people to resources that are health and human services. Things like utilities, food, crisis help, financial support, and particularly mental health services. You can contact 211 by either calling 211 and you'll reach United Way of Lake County. You can also text 898-211, and in either of those cases, you'll be connected with a trauma-informed navigator who will listen and really work to navigate you to the right services and the right providers, make those referrals and giving you that information. It's available 24/7, so there's never a reason not to give a call.
So Gail, how do we balance this? How would someone, know when to reach out for a 211 call versus a 911 call or even a 988 call?
Excellent question. Well, 911 is for emergency situations, fire, medical situations, crisis situations that are crime or disaster related, including domestic violence. And 988 is a suicide and crisis lifeline. If there are thoughts of suicide, mental health crisis, substance abuse crisis, or emotional distress. And 211 is three simple numbers for everything else that's needed for referrals for health and human services, shelter, food, utilities, healthcare services, legal services, counseling support, and more.
So 211 provides resources for day-to-day issues as well as in times of crisis and disaster. Can you tell us how you all have to maybe quickly pivot? You got a 211 call and now it's become a crisis response sort of call. How do you deal with an incident like that?
Absolutely. We have both the processes and systems in place to be able to respond to a disaster or a crisis. We have the staff capacity that we can ramp up to handle larger volumes of calls coming in, as well as multilingual support. On a daily basis, we provide support to Spanish speakers and, of course, English speakers. We have interpretation services of over 150 languages. We have a deep knowledge of providers here in Lake County, Illinois, and our call center is steeped in experience and depth of knowledge with the best practices in place to respond to crisis situations.
So Gail, are your people at the 211 able to, get real time data on who's calling, and just to help even more to implement the proper care?
Yes, we have real-time data. I will say that all calls are confidential and people can share as much as they like in terms of what their needs are and their own self-identification. But our data really helps us to know what are the trends in Lake County in terms of needs and services, as well as where are the gaps in terms of needs or services, as well as what other partners that we need. So we encourage nonprofits, community-based organizations to be in the 211 database so that they can meet the needs and get referrals of callers, community-based callers.
Gail, as we approach the one-year mark since July 4th, how do you all continue to help folks in need now? I mean, we had the director of the DART Center on here talking about trauma and how to deal with these traumatic situations. The 211 system, with all of the trauma we see nowadays, are you starting to get a little bit overwhelmed? Are you seeing it, increase?
Well, I think one thing like the incident in Highland Park that we've learned is that there is a ripple effect We were told day one that whatever we started, we needed to be able to support for at least 3 years because it takes time in some instances for people to even realize that they have been impacted. So we need to keep our processes and systems ready to respond to the needs of all of our communities. Because not only did Highland Park experience a trauma of a great magnitude, we see gun violence across the county on a daily basis. So we have to have those resources in place to be able to make those referrals.
Gail Graves, thank you for all this important information and have a great weekend. Gail, the Vice President of Community Impact with United Way of Lake County. Thank you, Gail. To connect with Gail, thank you. To connect with Gail or anyone at 211, simply call the number, text your zip code to 898-211 or visit 211.org. And a programming note, today at 6 p.m., a special edition of the CBS 2 News. Joe Donlin and Erica Sargent will be live in Highland Park, reflecting on how the last year is inspiring people there to move forward and heal.